from Santa Barbara. Welcome to Compassionate Connection. I am your hostess, Gigi Amore. The purpose of our show is to share with you, Fred's having fun in there, how to connect compassionately when we learn to communicate effectively by really learning the language of peace, the language of compassion. We can therefore transform our own voices within ourselves and our relationships with others in a way that will be quite enriching. So we have fun with that as the basis of our show. And tonight we're going to see a lot of this in action by being proactive because we have Susan back. And we're really blessed. Now we're doing a part 2 tonight, and this is going to be about, Susan, your Heartspace solutions.
Yep.
Oh, I'm thrilled. Thank you for
Going deeper, more
That's
complicated
right.
things tonight.
Oh,
Not
boy.
the easy stuff anymore.
That's right. That's right. Going to get to right down to what Susan does best, and that's transforming people to be everything that they would enjoy being in life. And I really appreciate that, Susan.
Thank you so much, Gigi. It's great to be here.
Yay! We're excited. Now I'm going to share a little about Susan Allan, who is in fact the creator of Heartspace Solutions, one of the coaching programs that she began developing during her 40-year search for personal transformation. Susan is also a certified mediator and is certified in Herman brain dominance used by 90% of the Fortune companies. Her 6-part conversation allows us to create peaceful and cooperative conversations with everyone under every situation. And Susan has also been seen on Fox News and on hundreds of television and radio shows, demonstrating the results that we can create when we transform the way we think, listen, speak, and act, and focus on solutions instead of problems. Now, what a blessing. Susan offers a complimentary 1-hour private telephone session so that everyone can transform their business, their family, and their life. I know Susan has just launched 2 Facebook fan pages, and they have many links to many of our shows, and one is called Susan Allan Heartspace, and the other is called Susan Allan Sales Form. So please check that out. Ah, what an introduction. That's a mouthful.
Wait till they see what's on those fan pages. That could choke any,
Oh, a lot of information.
So many of our shows and so much information. Yeah, people are really enjoying it.
Well, thank you, Susan.
Yeah,
You're always
yeah.
advancing forward. I
Yes.
so appreciate it.
Yes.
Keeps me so excited. Well, I'd just like to tell our viewers that tonight we're going to look at Heartspace Solutions to consider the similarities, let's say, between solutions to our personal challenges and our professional ones. And as Susan has explained in previous shows, it is our ability to think that it is the foundation for all solutions. Think about that one. We will look at common denominators to resolving problems in our personal lives or in our jobs or businesses. And fortunately, Susan will explain the skills, tools, and support that it allows us all to transform. All right, my sleeves are rolled up, and I'm going to fire off some very intriguing questions.
Already. Ready. Okay, good. Let's hear.
Okay, now reflecting back, I know that as you have told us last week in our Heartspace Solutions Part 1, that these skills can be used in all areas.
Yes.
Simultaneously. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So that requires a mastering of a skill that we have it, and then we can actually enjoy the benefits. So please explain
Forever.
how this
Forever.
extraordinary formula can work.
Well, thank you. That's quite a question. All right, so we'll be here for about 6 or 7 hours. I hope you have nothing else to do, and feel free to go and grab some food. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It's an hour, a little bit less than an hour. When you think about a problem that you have in your personal life, it usually looks at first as if it's them who's doing it to you. When you have a problem in your professional life, it often, again, looks like it's them. So maybe you think you picked the wrong partner. Maybe you think you picked the wrong job. Maybe you think you picked the wrong business partner. Maybe you think you signed the wrong lease or bought the wrong house or whatever it is. It tends to look like it's them. And believe me, for decades I thought it was them. And you know, there was a wonderful cartoon, you know, Pogo said, "I'm surrounded by idiots," and the other character in the cartoon said, "Well, if you're so smart, how did you get yourself surrounded by idiots?" And that got me thinking. It really, really did. So I spent, 40 years and $1 million trying to make better choices about the wonderful people that were around that I could have surrounded myself with. When we are able to really analyze the opportunities, then we know which ones to accept and which ones to, just say no thank you and move on. When we're able to bring ourselves to peace, if we find ourselves in a situation we don't enjoy, if you're able to bring yourself to peace and do it quickly and do it before you get everybody else very upset, then you'll find that the problems go away very quickly. Getting yourself to peace quickly, the problems go away quickly. There is a reference here. So we are the center of all of the things that happen in our lives. If you look around, and believe me, I did, I looked around and I had challenges in my marriage, I had challenges with my clients when I was in the fashion industry, I had challenges here and there. Well, the central part of all of it was me. So as I transformed myself, the problems got less and less and less and ultimately disappeared. And it is a miracle. When you wake up in the morning and you don't have any problems that look so big that you don't know how to solve them, then you can start to relax and enjoy being alive. And with the referrals that I have and the skills that I teach, that's the way I live my life, and that's what I'm suggesting.
Thank you, Susan. I think that we all are on a journey for that inner peace, which is so helpful to deal with anything in life. Or anyone.
Yes.
Even ourselves. Imagine that, right?
Exactly true.
Thank you.
Yes. Enemy number one, the self with a small s. Yeah, true.
Oh my goodness. Well, I know now that you have 2 fan pages going on simultaneously. Let's see, Susan Allan Heartspace and Susan AllanS Sales Forum. And I wonder if you'd explain how these parallel trainings actually converge into one lifestyle.
Yes, certainly. So let's say you have a problem with someone in your family, or your boyfriend or girlfriend, or your child or children. So that's the heart space. That's an intimate relationship. You're having a challenge with an intimate relationship, and you want to be able to bring yourself to peace before speaking. You want to be able to calm them down if they're upset. You want to be able to motivate them to listen to you so they can hear what's alive in you, to use Marshall Rosenberg's term. And ultimately, you want to create a solution. So that is the basis of communication in the Heartspace system, which you'll find at Susan AllanS Heartspace on Facebook. However, if you own a business, run a business, work for a business, want to have a business, if you have any of the problems that have to do with any kind of commerce, whether it's bricks and mortar or whether it's an internet business, it doesn't matter. You could be a professional, you could be an attorney, a therapist, whatever it is, then it's the sales forum. So Susan AllanS Sales Forum, and that's F-O-R-U-M, just to be clear. And there you have the 6-part conversation for sales. There you have all sorts of distinctions about how to increase your sales, bring in financing, all the different things you need using these skills. And of course, send me a message on either of my fan pages, and I would love to, engage with you, give you answers, whatever. So that's the difference.
What a great offer, but thank you. That explains it. Very nice. And maybe somebody needs the works. I know I've explored both business and personal with you. That's
Yeah, of course.
great opportunity.
Because you don't have peace if you've got, let's say the left tire front and back on the car is working and the right tire front and back are flat, you're not going anywhere. You're just not going anywhere. And you certainly don't feel peaceful. And even if AAA comes, you only have one spare in the back, So we've got to be able to function with all 4 parts of our brain. And Fred, if you would put up the Herman Brain Dominance model for just a minute, I'd really appreciate it. So we've got to be able to, thank you, we've got to be able to function with all 4 parts of our brain. Logically analyze, which is blue. Take preventative action, plan and get things done, and be reliable, which is green. Be sensitive to others, and be supportive and expressive, and really have feelings, but in a positive way, that's the red. And be a visionary, infer, imagine, speculate, and that's the yellow. Thank you, Fred. So it's got to be all of the above. We've got to be functioning in all 4 ways.
I love that chart. It's so clear. That was a great creation. Well, now I have another question. I wonder if you take us through, let's say someone's training who's just beginning to work with you, and let's say they have a career issue.
Well, this is so exciting. I have huge news, which is one of my clients, who's an actor, had only had 6 sessions with me so far. Today was the 7th. And within 6 sessions, she was just cast in a leading role in a very important play in Los Angeles with a great theater company. And it was just huge. Now, this is a very intelligent young woman. She really knows how to study. She knows how to think. She knows how to listen. She's a lovely, lovely person. But she didn't have these skills 6 sessions ago. So I taught her how to calm herself down before speaking. I taught her how to calm other people down. I taught her how to express herself in a way that would meet the needs of her listener, as well as really getting her point across. I taught her how to do all that at an audition, not just show up and read, but really get herself present, really project herself, really connect with everybody there. And so a couple of days ago, she found out she had the part, which is just so exciting because she was having dinner with her parents the night that she found out. Oh. So what could make parents happier, right?
That's right.
If they have a daughter who's, a young and lovely woman living in Los Angeles, and she got a part, she got the part. So it's just so exciting to watch her be able to make really fast transitions, really quick transformation, because her brain is beautifully wired. It's just in her case, she was missing skills. That's why she was able to learn the skills so quickly.
Thank you, Susan. That's
Great.
really a happy example.
Yes,
I love that.
fabulous.
Once again. Well, okay. So how does she also use that in her family and in her personal life?
Well, yeah, it's really interesting that when you want to motivate somebody, you have to be able to understand their needs. So in the conversations I had with her about her parents, I said, well, rather than feeling upset or troubled because your parents love you and they care about you and they're concerned about you, I want to teach you how to communicate with them in a way that allays their concerns. So mom and dad, I can only imagine that when you hear that I'm auditioning for all these roles and that I get some of them and I don't get all of them, you probably feel very concerned because you want to make sure that I'm safe, that I'm fiscally, solid, that I've got a career, and that I'm not just chasing a dream. Is that right? And of course, that's what her parents were feeling and needing. So by being able to communicate with them in that way, and then saying, I'm wondering if you'd be willing to hear some really good news I have. And of course, they couldn't wait to hear that. And she said, well, I just want to tell you. And then her great news is that, bingo, she got her role. Because they knew about her work with me. She was very, upfront and told them, which I'm thrilled about. So here she was after just 6 hours of training with me, a result.
Oh,
and it
boy.
Changes everything.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm glad she's got it. That's
Yes.
awesome.
Yes, it's a great role. Can't wait to see it.
Well, okay. So now, do you mean that areas that, let's say, are easy for her, easy whether it's personal or professional, in challenging areas or challenging, let's say, in each domain?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was working with another client this morning who's a brilliant businesswoman, a really brilliant businesswoman. She's always had challenges with empathy. She really never saw it at home. She never saw it in the different jobs she had along the way. And the only time she's ever experienced real empathy was when I give her empathy. And she just came back from a vacation, and she returned from a vacation with a friend who obviously doesn't know anything about empathy. So I said to this lovely young woman, I said, "Oh, you've been away from me too long. We better speak a second time this week because we got to get you back in the saddle." You know, she's in the middle of getting a new big position at a new company, and we can't have her going sideways into the self-expression addiction where you just figure and assume that people really want to hear what you have to say before you check to see what they're really interested in, because that's a recipe for disaster. So I kind of reeled her in today. Actually, I'm left-handed. That's how I use a reel. So I reeled her in today and made sure that when she goes on these meetings and when she talks to these HR people or sends emails, that she remembers empathy. Always start with empathy.
Oh, that's the number one ingredient. Thank you. That's so important.
That's right.
It's a win every time.
Yeah, true.
I know. By experience.
We know, because when we didn't do it, we got slammed. I'm telling you that we often learned the hard way, Gigi and I. Not you, of course. You would never have to learn the hard way, but we did.
There you go. Boy, I'll lock myself up and give myself empathy if I need to now.
That's right.
Oh, my. Well, all right, we're going to move forward and we'll explore this question. Please give us an example of someone who was very successful in business and worked with you to become equally successful in his relationship.
I worked with a guy a number of years ago when he was separated and getting a divorce from his first wife. And he had big relationship problems. Very successful guy in business, very successful. And I encouraged him not to marry the woman who became his second wife for various reasons. He was very clear what his needs were, including financial security. And this woman not only didn't earn a living, but it was very clear that she would never earn a living. She would never be able to earn a living for a number of different reasons. He married her anyway, and he had the marriage annulled very, very soon. And then he had me speak to his now third wife, who is a really great match for him, a really great match for him. And she happens to need a great deal of empathy, as did his first and second wife. He's getting along well with his first wife, who's the mother of some of his children, because he practices empathy with her, and that's what works. He was able to terminate his marriage to the second woman by giving her tons of empathy, because that's what was required. And now he's able to move through some very difficult times with his third wife with empathy. And through all of this, his business has been fantastic, because he's a very left-brain guy. Very left-brain guy.
So it's workable. What a key factor. That's so
Well,
important.
I have a really good friend, and I won't mention him by name. You know who he is. And he had lots and lots of relationship problems, but all he had to do was decide he was ready to go to work for some, project, and he would say to them, "My price is $10,000 a day. Take it or leave it." And they would take it, because the guy happens to be a genius. But, he couldn't do the same thing with women because they kept leaving him. So it's very interesting. I would say to him, just be a little bit more compassionate, just, show a little understanding, give some empathy, and you'll find that the next person who comes stays. They're not going to stay unless you give them some empathy.
Absolutely.
And he's engaged, he's in a long-term engagement, everybody's happy now.
We tend to be empathically, I guess,
Challenged.
immune. Challenged, that's the word. Yeah, we are. Oh, my.
But not everybody. Not everybody.
Yeah.
Yes, you aren't. You're not. You're great at empathy.
Thank you.
It's true.
She's tested me. Oh my. Well, okay, this question, how crucial is it to follow through to get those excellent results?
Follow through is one of the absolute keys. You know, follow through is the lower left brain. So you have to be able to do all 4 quadrants effectively. Thank you, Fred. So, you know, you can have an idea, upper right brain, which is yellow, and you can do your research, upper left brain, with the facts and the figures and the dollars and the numbers. You can have a positive emotional attitude, positive expectation and belief, which is the lower right brain red. You can know all the right people and talk to all the right people, which is, again, lower right brain red. And if you don't stick with this thing long enough, which is the lower left brain green, you are going nowhere. Just nowhere. I have a very dear friend who you also do know, and he had an idea for a business for 17 years. And it wasn't until one of his friends, one of my friends, and I kind of pushed him to the wall that he now has a company.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, because he'd been talking about this for 17 years. It's crazy. But he needed follow-through.
He needed that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what our parents used to call stick-to-itiveness. Yeah.
I like that term.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so let's explore this. If the common denominator to our problems is us, and the common denominator to all our success is also us, then is the key piece.
So, you know, this is the good news. The good news is it's you. But remember that they don't see it that way. So if you're looking for a great relationship, I remember something from the Landmark Forum, you know, be interested, don't be interesting. So true. How many of us have gone out with people once who continue to talk about themselves throughout dinner, and you said to yourself, never again, right? Okay, yeah, absolutely. So, you know, be interested, don't be interesting. Which you can throw to the wind if they're that boring and you want to stay awake. So you know you're not going to be there twice, and just, you know, some point it's just survival, you know, entertain yourself. If it's a business situation, I was just working with a client today on a very complicated business deal. And in her case, she's always done relationship selling, which she thought meant just being warm and friendly and showing that she knows what she's talking about. But that is not enough. You have to make sure that you pre-script every word you're going to say around what you understand the customer's needs to be. So you have to research the customer or client, you have to understand what their needs are, some of it's guesswork, and you have to script yourself in such a way that they think that you know them. And people say to me, my God, are you psychic? And of course I'm not psychic. I just did a lot of research. I took a lot of time. I really entered my heart space, if you will, and connected to them to see what would I want to hear if I were that person. And then I came up with my pitch around that, and that's what you must do.
That's very clear. Thank you. I appreciate hearing that. Now, I'm curious, when you're teaching your Peace Form module, what are the key trainings so that people really can find peace?
Yeah, the two most important skill sets that I teach for peace are self-empathy based on nonviolent communication. You know, I'm feeling worried because I really need support. Breathe. I'm feeling confused because I need some information right now. Breathe. I'm feeling frustrated because my need for understanding isn't being met. Breathe. And until you calm yourself down about some imaginary situation I just was thinking about, you know, you're not going to be able to motivate people to support you in any way that's going to really work for you. The second most important one is a takeoff on Byron Katie's, the work of Byron Katie with the 4 questions. I've shifted a bit. And again, if you want to hear that, please either send me an email or call me or send me a message on the fan page, and I will be happy to send you an email. It's something a little bit different, which I call the 4 questions of inquiry. And there is a turnaround in it, but the way that I teach it is a little different from Katie's because I'm asking you to get evidence before you do the turnaround. If you get in the habit of looking for evidence and finding evidence, you will stop telling these miserable stories very quickly. That's the trick.
That is very clear, yes. The evidence, oh my, instead of the stories. Oh, thank you for the reminder.
Because I have a very dear friend who just told me this weekend that she had just done a 10-day course with Byron Katie. And I said, well, let me hear you do the work, because I was just curious. And she didn't have it. She was still suffering and going around. I said, try this. Look for real evidence that that story's true. Real substantiation, as if you were in a court of law. What would you say to the judge? The judge isn't interested in a story or a fantasy. The judge isn't interested in third-party hearsay. The judge wants the facts. What are the facts? Ooh.
Yeah.
And that was the end of that story. Quick.
Thank you, Susan.
Not an hour later. Boom.
Exactly. Well, okay, let's explore. Is peace also the key to every relationship? As you say, at least one partner must be able to, of course, self-generate peace in order for a relationship to be wonderful.
Yeah, there's no fun for any of us being around somebody who lives on a roller coaster. And why would you want to spend the rest of your life with a partner like that? You don't. You complain to me about it, and I say to you, you're right. So you've got to learn how to bring yourself to peace so that you can bring him or her to peace. Whether it's a child, whether it's a parent, whether it's a partner, whether it's a dog or a cat, whether it's the neighbor, it doesn't matter. You've got to be able to learn how to calm people down so that you can have peace, so that you can have some silence, and so you can go about your life without feeling all of this drama choking you. Isn't that right?
Thank you. I'm sure they're agreeing.
Yes, everybody's shaking their head.
Okay, well now, how about in your marriage form toolkit? What is the basis of marital mediation? And explain how that works.
You know, I did a wonderful 2 CD training with Rick and Linda Dahlwig a few years ago. And we're going to put that onto iTunes as well because we just launched a couple of the trainings on iTunes. So please go to iTunes and put in Susan Allan, and the 2 we have up there are free, and we're going to put a lot more free ones, so you'll enjoy it. We're going to put a lot of the shows that I do with Gigi up there as well. So marital mediation is within the context of a long-term committed relationship. Now you're living together, you're stuck together, sometimes you're also, working together. You really can't just go into another room and pretend that when you come out 2 days later, your wife or your husband isn't going to be there anymore. So these are very advanced self-empathy and empathy skills where you master understanding the needs of your partner because this is your partner for a long time. It's not like you can, just quit your job and it's 2 minutes. If you're going to get a divorce, trust me, it's a rather lengthy process. So you've got to learn how to come to peace and bring this partner to peace with you as well.
Thank you, Susan. I know you have that formula.
Yes.
Now, I know that, let's say, reconciliation. I was trying to get my word here.
Yes.
Okay, we know about that.
Yes.
That's your favorite part of
Yes.
working with clients
Exactly.
who have relationship issues. And please share with us the most important part of that formula.
Beautiful. Well, reconciliation is something that you really want to do if you really love him or her. And reconciliation is not something that you really want to do if you don't want to lose a certain amount of money in divorce. If that's your concern, then just get a mediated divorce. Let me help you with that. It's very affordable. There's no reason to stay with a partner in this day and age who you don't love and you don't care about and who you don't see is a real benefit and a bonus in your life, unless for some reason you have a religious issue and then you need me to teach you how to reconcile even more than the average person. But when you're reconciling, it's about unconditional love for yourself and your partner. And that means real love. And real love to me is when your partner getting his or her needs met is equally important to you as you getting your own needs met. When you have that commitment, and I mean commitment, not it's an idea, not I'll try, but a commitment, then you're someone who's ready to learn how to reconcile.
So I'm curious, just for clarity, your definition of love and how you teach clients to really give and receive love.
So in many cases, people think that they want to reconcile, and I discover that they never really were merged as a couple. So they may have been married for 10 or 20 years, but they've always been two individual people doing their individual things. And I don't mean this in a bad way. I'm not judging them. And I don't mean people who adore each other and who have separate companies or separate hobbies or even take separate vacations and they adore each other. I don't mean that. I mean people who have been living in their own separate life from the first time they met. They've never been able to really compromise. The way they make decisions is one of them pushes the other and the other one backs up, or the other one pushes and that one backs up. You know, coercion and capitulation. So I teach them how to lovingly compromise by entering their heart space to truly love.
Thank you, Susan. Boy, what a great thing. Well, we're going to explore more of what Susan has to share with us in just a few moments, but right now we're going to take a break, go into a clip with Reverend Bernard Goodman, and this is going to be about birthdays, which we all love. Please enjoy.
Oh, Gina, it's time for you to read your card. She gave me a card for my birthday. You know, it was my birthday, December 21st. I became 74 years backwards, young, and she gave me this card, but I can't read it because of her handwriting. But it's too important not to be read because they're going to honor her in a few minutes.
Dear Bernard, I'm thinking about when I first met you. It was at the Montecito gathering in '08, I think. Susan brought me there and introduced us, and my life has never been the same since. You've consistently been there for me unconditionally with your guidance, support, and recognition of who I really am. You've shown me that I'm much more than the scars I've You've shown me that I'm much more than the scars I've accumulated in my life. You were the conduit that led me to Avatar. And Avatar is where I learned to take responsibility for all the choices that I made in my life and took me out of my victimization. And it made me really look in the mirror. One of the most important things I've ever experienced. I am so blessed to have you in my life, Bernard. You have always been there for me when I've needed you. And I know from experience how rare this quality is in us human beings. You are love. And I love you for it, Gina.
We want you to know it took a lot of courage for her to read this. we're going to honor you first of all for doing the avatar training and becoming an avatar ship. We also want to honor you for having the courage to go to Peru, to go through the transformation that you went there, to come back to this place in Santa Barbara as a totally different human being, both in physical form and every other form. That you have now officially, become a bombshell of love and a bombshell of truth. A blonde bombshell of love and a blonde bombshell of truth. Even our hair changed. You are so strong inside now. You are so powerful inside now that we have to give you the honorary title these are their words, kid, of Thunder Goddess of Love. You are as powerful as thunder is in the sky. You are going to manifest that power through the love that you are. And with that love will come the strength of humanity inside you. And you will build monuments to God through the minds of people's hearts. You are going to create seminars that will revolutionize the human soul. You will take the pain and suffering and scars of billions and billions of people that they carry inside them, and you're going to extract them into something so beautiful they'll never remember who they were in pain. Just as we did that for you, just as you did that with you, you had to go through that so that you will know exactly where they are. Just like Bernard was homeless for 3 years when he went on a spiritual path, he had to know what that was like to get a totally different understanding about money and about value and about life, and needless to say, he changed his life completely. Well, you going to Peru did that for you. It gave you the courage and a transformative power to become the beauty and powerhouse that you are now. I would not even race you against her horses. That's how powerful you are. You would fly alongside her Pegasus. That's how powerful you are. We're going to give you, their words, the snake energy of truth, the dragon of love, the power to literally change human life forever. And you will do this in what you are going to create when you leave here today. You will begin to get inklings, seepings, droplets, seeds of what you're going to create. You're going to begin writing books of all the forms, all the processes, all the trainings you're going to be creating. You'll have it all written down, books and books and books like this. Millions of them. You're going to have them. Everything written down, specifically and exactly the way it's supposed to be when you do these seminars all over the world. You're going to be what we call a healing giant. You're going to go into people's minds and hearts and extract that which is their greatest love and eradicate that which is their greatest fear. Just like you went through. You will know exactly what they're going through when they're going through the processes, because you've been there, you've gone through that, you've done that, you know the result because you are the result. Now you're going to give it to the world. Just as Bernard was born from nothing, with nothing, not even a birthday, growing up, you have been given the ability to bring life to people who are dead, the walking dead, if you will, the zombies who don't know they're zombies, the people who live in such fear they've created their own caves of hell. You are going to bring them a ladder to climb out of those caves. You're going to bring them the light to see the end of the caves. You're going to lead them to walk right into that light and become refreshed, become renewed, become alive. You're going to give them their life back. Something that Bernard has learned many times in his life, including recently, when he does something or something happens to him that he becomes victim to, he goes through whatever amount of time until he decides to take his life back. And he does that in whatever form it takes for him. So we're going to give you a cute little name, and you can do whatever you want with this name. But we're going to call you the Dragon Lady, because you are officially now the Dragon Lady of Light.
You know, what's so remarkable about Bernard is I honestly believe that when he channels for us, that something shifts in us. Whether it's practical just because somebody believes in you as much as Bernard believes in you, because the channelings that he's given me since 1999, you can imagine, have not been that different from what he channeled to my friend Gina, because you see me here, right? You guys know what I do. And so this is obviously what he was describing with very, very few, differences, what he channeled to Gina. And here I am, and this is not who I was in 1999. So I honestly believe that there's something about listening to him that shifts our own self-respect and shifts even our abilities.
Absolutely, Susan. Well, thank you, Reverend Bernard. Oh my gosh, he is incredible if you ever have the opportunity to meet up with him. Thank you, Susan. That was
But
sweet.
take the
I
opportunity.
like that.
I think what Gigi really means is you might want to take the opportunity to call him. His number's been on the screen every single time that you and I have done a show for like 5 years, I think, right? So it's about taking the opportunity now.
That's true. And boy, he gets right to the truth of the matter. I know that.
Yes.
Oh my. Well, all right, we're going to move forward here, and we're going to explore with you, Susan, what causes clients to shift from the marriage form program with you to the divorce program, and why does that occur?
Well, it's interesting. When I started in 1999, I started with the Divorce Forum, thedivorceforum.com, F-O-R-U-M, again, .com. And a little bit down the road, had, a certain number of clients, and they started to say to me, Susan, if I'd met you 6 months ago, I would not have gotten a divorce. I wouldn't be talking to you as a divorce coach and a mediator. I would be talking to you because I would want to stay with my partner. So then I started shifting the skills to the other side, how to avoid divorce. So then I became very famous for my How to Avoid Divorce training, and that's what first was, part of the Fox News and part of Montel Williams, how to avoid all that. But as time went on, it's never my decision, it's never my vote. It's just a question of whether enough of your needs are met in this relationship. As the great, great Buddhist Adyashanti says, it's either 95% wonderful or it's not worth it. And I would say that about any relationship. Now, I'm not saying you should quit your job and hope for a better one sometime in the future. Keep your job and get a better one, please. But anything that you can afford to let go of, if it's not wonderful, let go of it and replace it with something that is wonderful. And I can teach you how to do that if you don't know how.
Thank you. Boy, that would bring a lot more joy and happiness right away.
Not only to them, but to the world.
There you
to
go.
Everybody.
Good point. Yes. Now, how about once you hear about a new client's past divorce, does that affect perhaps your training of them in your dating program called Pro Dating?
Yeah, you bet. Because as Gina said in the clip, that she had this victim mentality. So I would say that 70% of the people that I've worked with who have been divorced, I first have to have them shift their victim story. And even if they never got married, then they have a victim story about a boyfriend or a girlfriend, or all of their boyfriends or girlfriends. So in order to be able to enter into a new relationship, you have to be clean about it. You have to be fertile ground. You have to be ready. And so that's a lot of the work that I do with people in the beginning.
Thank you. So what is the hardest part of pro dating for most of your clients?
Understanding that there were communication skills that they didn't have. And if they had had them, A, they might not have married that person. Or B, if they married that person, the relationship would have looked very different. And C, for a good many of them, they might not be divorced today. Very painful reality. We have to mourn that in the past, as Marshall Rosenberg says, we did not have the tools and skills we needed to have a better outcome. And now we can celebrate that in the present, we're learning those tools and skills so that in the future could be in a minute from now, that we have the tools and skills and we can create better outcomes.
Okay, I have a hot question now. What part does motivating and inspiring play in dating?
Well, it's pretty much 100%. I mean, you're on a date, you can't tell somebody what to do because it's not like a long-term marriage where somebody's going to cut you any slack. It's a brand new relationship, and if you want to see that person again, you want to motivate and inspire them in a sweet and loving way, in a gentle and warm way. You don't want to push people around, and you certainly don't want to be pushed around yourself, right? So it's all about motivating and inspiring.
Thank you. And this is something I know, Susan, that you have said, life is sales, and that you mean it in a very positive way, although I know that most people connect sales with negativism.
Yeah. Well, again, motivating and inspiring is sales. So if somebody says to you, where would you like to go to dinner? You are on a first date, you're going to have one answer. If you're in a 10-year marriage, you're going to have another answer. If you're in a 10-year marriage, you know the financial situation of the family. You know the time available with the family. You know where your favorite restaurant is. You know if you're going to be able to get a reservation at the last minute. You know how long it's going to take you to drive there and back from your home, right? You know all this stuff. But now if you're on your first date with somebody and somebody is gracious and says to you, where would you like to go for dinner? There you have to really finesse because you don't know. You might say, well, we're in Westwood, California, which is outside LA, and these are some of my favorite places here. Or you're in Santa Barbara, maybe you live here, maybe you don't. I just looked up on Zagat Guide, there are a couple of different things, and give some different price ranges, right? Don't kind of force somebody to go to something that might not meet their needs or might not even be possible. So again, it's empathy, motivating, and inspiring. No matter what you want, if you want real cooperation, that's the way to get it.
Thank you. That is such a huge reminder. And of course, the right vocabulary. Thank you. Well, how about giving us an example, let's say, of a client who needed to improve both their relationship and their business?
Well, it's just, a really, really interesting situation. If you find that you have problems in both areas simultaneously, then this is an urgent situation, isn't it? I mean, this is urgent. And I've been working with someone, that has had some real challenges in both areas. Problems in the intimate relationship, problems in the business relationship, and it all boils down to, and it always seems to boil down to this for so many people, a need to be able to bring yourself to peace before communicating so that you can truly understand what somebody else's needs are. When you understand somebody else's needs, you must be able to speak about that first before you make requests and certainly before you make demands. So if you connect to the needs of your listener, which I hope I'm doing with you guys, then there's a high probability that you're going to have an audience, people who really are listeners. If I just stayed, listen, this is what I want you to do. I want everybody to do this and everybody to do this and do this and do this and do this and do this, you would presumably have turned off the television by now or the computer, walked away from it, right? You want to know that someone cares about your needs. It's true if you're going on an interview. It's true if you're going on an audition. It's true if you're going to go on a date. And boy, if you're meeting the parents of somebody you're dating, it is more than true. Always true.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness, what a world of information, Susan. I'm so thrilled. I know, let's say that many of your clients have transformed their relationships or their business in only 12 sessions, which is amazing. And that, of course, should make all of us feel really encouraged. And we can get on with a more wonderful life of enjoyment and peace and everything we want it to be.
That's right, because if you can wake up in the morning and you know that you know where to get your problem solved. Maybe you don't have the solution, but I've told you about a phenomenal MD in Santa Barbara who's a holistic MD, Dr. Chari. Maybe you're in Paris, as some of my clients are, and you need vitamins. You need to call Mary at O Vitamin Pro. She'll ship. Maybe you're going through a divorce and you don't know if you can afford the divorce, because that's the point I make to a lot of people who think they want a divorce. Can you afford the divorce? How are you going to be able to afford the divorce? And then I send you to a CPA who specializes in this. These are the solutions. You don't have to know everything, but you have to know where to look for the answer.
Very informative. Once again, thank you. What a delight.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Well, now we're going to just go through a few little announcements here, share with you that we are in our 8th plus year. Not exactly clear, but we're just really enjoying doing the show, putting out all this knowledge. And also, I'd just like to share that we are live every Tuesday night here at the channels from 8 till 9, and we re-air throughout the week, Thursdays at 3 in the afternoon, Saturdays at 8 a.m., Sundays at 1, Mondays at 1, and other surprising times as well. And if you have any challenges, questions, concerns, please don't hesitate. Please take the opportunity. Give us a call, 805-698-8233. Actually, I do better phone than anything else, but you could give an email, ggmore@cox.net. And we are excited that we have a website that, of course, you can go to, compassionateconnection.tv. And now I'd like to share a bit about what Susan has going on here locally. The Susan AllanS column is in our Ask the Love and Relationship Coach in the Santa Barbara Family Life magazine, which is available online as well. You can go to sbfamilylife.com and you can contact Susan for so many issues. And that would be susanallan.org or 805-695-8405. And we just would like to remind you that the wonderful healer Howard Wells has one more event coming up in LA.
Two, actually. They just added one today.
There you go. Hot off the press.
Don't miss them. May 4th and May 5th. Don't miss them.
Thank you, Susan. That worked. And so, cooperation from Fred. We're doing great. I'd just like to say thank you to everybody at the studio, Matt, Mark, JP, Oscar. We're in such gratitude of your support and encouragement throughout the years. And also right here, our personal TV team, Fred Winter, our director. We couldn't be without Fred. He makes everything work. And Tyler Geck, our entertainer and audio support. You just about choked on that. And so, I'd just like to say thank you also to my lovely friend, Lucy. I love you, Lucy. Thanks for fluffing me up for the show. And for our viewers, thank you for staying with us, and I hope you have a compassionate week. Good night.